We want to bring you an update on the breaking news we've been following. A verdict in the trial of the man accused of trying to assassinate Travis County District Judge Julie Kosurik. The jury did decide that Chimene Onyeri is guilty of all 17 charges, including attempted capital murder. We are live at the courthouse with reaction to the jury's decision. Phil Prazen is there. Good afternoon, Phil.
Hey, Kate, yeah, we're right in front of the federal courthouse downtown, and in just a few minutes, if you look over here, we're expecting the prosecution to address the media and also the public after they were successfully tried this case, and the defense, Chimene Onyeri's defense, has decided to not comment to the media afterwards. But the defense's argument this entire time was that Chimene Onyeri was reckless, but he wasn't trying to kill Judge Kosurik. They didn't actually deny that the attack happened. They just said that he wasn't trying to kill her. The jury did not buy that argument. Instead, they took the side of the prosecution, who presented 800 pieces of evidence, including a 911 call, 60 witnesses testifying against Onyeri, including some of his close criminal associates. He was eventually found guilty on racketeering and attempted murder. The prosecution swayed the jury and with the argument that he was worried that the judge was going to sentence him to prison for violating probation, and so then that's when the attack happened. In just a couple minutes, we'll bring you the prosecution live, but for now, we're live in downtown Austin. Phil Prazen, back to you, Kate.
Well, Phil, you know, this trial lasted 5 weeks, and the jury didn't take very long to come back with this verdict.
Not at all. Once you got them in a room, you know, the evidence really must have swayed them pretty quickly. I mean, this was a ton of evidence against Onyeri, and it was not too long at all.
Yeah, about 6 hours total. All right, Phil Prazen, we will check back with you later. And the press conference is just about to begin outside the federal courthouse. This is going to be the prosecution team who was trying the Chimene Onyeri case for the last 5 weeks inside the federal courthouse. Our Brittany Glass has been covering pretty much every step of the way. We're going to listen in on what they have to say as they're coming up in just a few minutes, trying to make sure everybody is in place.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. My name is Ashley Hoff. I'm the first assistant United States attorney for the Western District of Texas. I'm here today on behalf of our United States attorney, John F. Bash, who is out of town. I'm going to introduce some folks here and definitely the agencies that have been involved in this, but I just wanted to start out very briefly by saying that today's unanimous jury verdict in United States versus Onyeri, Chimene Onyeri, in the trial is a culmination of a great partnership on the part of law enforcement, and it signifies the end to Mr. Onyeri's criminal spree across parts of Louisiana and into the center and the heart of Texas. And he will also be held accountable for his vicious and despicable act of violence against a sitting state district judge, that's Judge Julie Kosurik. So we are very pleased and gratified by today's jury verdict. And I want to just go through who we've got up here with us, because I want to make it clear to the public that this truly was a collaborative effort on the part of law enforcement. And I know we've spoken about that in the Austin area recently, and it certainly holds true in this particular case. So our office took participation in this particular prosecution, but we did it in partnership with the Travis County District Attorney's Office. And I want to thank Margaret Moore for her participation in this case, and also for allowing one of her prosecutors, Dana Blasey, to participate on the prosecution team in this particular case in federal court. We also had significant help from the Austin Police Department. I want to thank the Austin Police Department for their hard work in this case, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, from Internal Revenue Service, criminal investigations, from the Postal Inspection Service, from the Travis County Sheriff's Office, from the United States Marshal's Service, and many, many more. We also had help from the Houston Police Department and a number of other agencies, federal and local, throughout the state of Texas and through parts of Louisiana. This partnership has demonstrated the ability of our prosecution team and all of these law enforcement agents to put this evidence forward so that the jury could hear it completely. We had 60 witnesses in this case, over 800 exhibits, days and days of testimony and exhibits being shown before this jury, and we're very proud of today's result. So I'm going to turn it over to a few other folks who wish to comment. Ms. Moore?
Margaret Moore, Travis County District Attorney. The horrific attack on Judge Kusurik shocked the Travis County community, and in particular the courthouse community. We came perilously close to losing someone that we deeply care for, that we respect, and that we count on daily. We will never be the same. But it is heartening to see justice done in this courtroom today. Ashley has told you about the partnership that culminated in this successful verdict. I cannot praise the law enforcement effort in this case highly enough. All of the agencies involved gave tirelessly. The investigation was meticulous, and nothing was left undone. I also cannot praise Assistant U.S. Attorney Greg Sofer and my assistant, Dana Blasey, highly enough. These are gifted and tough prosecutors who gave it their all. And I know that this is a very, very important day for them. Judge Kusurik is not going to make comments today. But she did ask me to tell this community how much she appreciates the jury's verdict. She could not adequately express her appreciation for the time and attention they gave it. And she also wants everyone who participated in this investigation to know how much she and her family appreciate what they've done for her. I've got to commend them for their courage and their valor in bearing the burden of this. We can't give them back life as they knew it before, but I hope we've given them some consolation in knowing that they were not alone and that the full force of the law was brought to bear to rid us of this evil. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm John Scata. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI here in Austin. Let me start by saying today's verdict marks a good day for justice. For far too long, Mr. Onyeri has gotten away with victimizing people. The racketeering case that was brought against him today was months' worth of investigation. The investigative team assembled behind me, consisting of FBI, IRS, the Postal Inspector Service, all worked tirelessly with a great sense of purpose. And I thank them all, and especially my team, for the work that they did. I'd also like to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office for their unwavering support during this prosecution. As was mentioned, the prosecution team consisted of the U.S. Attorney's Office and a district attorney, an ADA, Dana. They did a terrific job of presenting a very complex racketeering case in a way that the jury understood all elements of the crime had been met. Finally, I'd just like to say I hope today's verdict enables the Kusurik family to heal and to recover from the terrible ordeal that they've been put through. Thank you.
My name is Andy Sue. I'm with IRS Criminal Investigation. First, I'd like to thank all our law enforcement partners for trying this case. The FBI, the U.S. Postal Service, the DA's office, Travis County, and the Austin Police Department. Mr. Onyeri's criminal organization was involved in a number of elaborate financial schemes that range from credit card skimming all the way to stolen identity tax refund fraud. But I think what makes this case really significant is their ability to commit horrific acts of violence. IRS Criminal Investigation is proud to have supported the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Onyeri, and we definitely thank all of our partners in this investigation and prosecution. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Chacon. I'm one of the assistant chiefs with the Austin Police Department and actually head up the Investigations Bureau. A case like this does not come along very often. And on behalf of Chief Brian Manley, I want to say thank you to the U.S. Attorney's Office and to the many agencies that were involved in this investigation. A racketeering investigation is one that requires months and months of preparation. I cannot overstate how much that Greg Sofer and Dana Blasey and the entire investigative team had to do to bring this to this successful conclusion. I think this is a great day for victims, particularly Judge Kucerik, and I think that for all victims of crime and for those that would perpetrate the crimes, this sends a strong message that you are not going to get away with this, that we are going to do what needs to be done to bring justice. So again, thank you to the AUSA's office, Travis County, my folks in the homicide and cold case homicide units for all the work that they did on this case, and I will turn it over to Travis County. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Johnson. I'm the Chief Deputy at the Travis County Sheriff Office. On behalf of Sheriff Hernandez, who could not be here because she's out of town on another obligation. First of all, I want to say to the Kucerik family, for all the law enforcement standing behind me, that we're here for you. Even though the trial is over with, if you need anything, we're still here for you. And we are very proud of the verdict that was received today. I'd like to thank all the agencies behind me that's involved, the DA's office, the U.S. Attorney, APD, the FBI, Internal Revenue, and if I miss somebody, forgive me, but I like to say all the agencies, I just want to thank everybody for bringing this case to a resolution. And I'd like to also thank the Corrections and the Law Enforcement Bureau of the Travis County Sheriff Office for providing the escorts and everything that they did to make this happen on a daily basis. Thank you guys, and thank y'all for being here.
So we have the two prosecutors here, and we could take a couple of questions. We need to be aware that the sentencing is set in August, so we are not yet finished with this case. We have a sentencing set on August 17th. So our answers may be somewhat limited, but we'll do our best if you have a couple of questions.
What was your reaction to the defense's argument? I know yesterday there was a bit of a show, the defense attorney in a cap and gown, kind of pulling at people's heartstrings to a degree about a lower income community in Houston. How did you respond to that, hearing that each and every day?
Well, we didn't really hear it each and every day, but he did definitely use what he could in terms of pulling on people's heartstrings. It's a problem for the defense in a case like this to try to pull on people's heartstrings when there's been such a significant act of violence. And as I said to the jury in closing, it wasn't about whether Mr. Onyeri was weird or what community he came from or what his race or job or lack of job really was. It was about the evidence, and we put on a lot of evidence that was gathered by the people behind me and the people that you don't see behind me, many of them who worked tirelessly to gather that evidence. So the case was really about the evidence that was presented in the courtroom and arguments about things that really didn't have to do with the evidence. I obviously didn't carry the day.
Greg, how much did Onyeri testifying strengthen your case?
My impression of his testimony was it wasn't credible, it wasn't believable, again, when you compare it to all of the evidence that was presented to the jury. So he also had a problem. It came from the same source, which was a long, multi-month, multi-agency investigation that essentially put enough facts on the table that he really, when he got up there and tried to make an explanation for what he did, it was belied and contradicted by all of the evidence it created, which included his own words, a lot of his own words, and those words came back to haunt him.
Knowing the extent of his criminal enterprise, how large that scope was, is there fear here on out, knowing that there could be up to 20 other people who are not behind bars, that may get some direction from him?
So the bottom line is our investigation isn't over. We're going to keep digging. We're going to keep going. When you shoot a judge in front of her children in her driveway because she's a judge, you're going to get the attention of people like this, and we're going to work night and day to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen. So the bottom line is we're not done, and we know who they are, and they need to be careful.
Are you prepared to
file and recall during the trial? How important was it to be able to have that evidence on hand that investigators have gotten from the
It was enormously important, and you can't see them, but they're standing over there. But there's two ladies over there who organized all of that and had it in a way that we had it at our fingertips, and they should get a lot of credit for this too.
you argue for a life sentence?
I'm not going to talk about the sentencing at this time. I don't think it's appropriate.
Two co-conspirators. We know that they obviously testified against Onyeri. What does their future look like here on out?
Also, won't comment on what's going to happen to them. It's a sentencing that's coming up at least in August, maybe later, and I don't think it's appropriate at this time to talk about.
But you were happy with their testimonies?
I think they testified largely to the truth, and I think the jury saw that.
What message do you want to send to people who think of this action in the future?
You know, there's plenty of violence. There's violence in Austin. There's violence in other cities, but this kind of violence is a little different. You attack the system itself when you attack a judge for doing her job. And the message should be, again, if you do something like that, you're going to attract the full weight, not just of the federal government, but the state government, local government. There's multiple agencies who you don't see behind you here from different parts of Texas, parts of Louisiana, all of who pitched in, didn't ask a single question, gave time of their investigators to us so that we could bring the people responsible for this to justice, and that's what's going to happen if someone ever attacks the system itself like this.
Have you ever seen anything like Onyeri's testimony? He's calling you Sophie, he's admitting to things, he's admitting to shooting the judge. What did you think about that in your experience?
Unfortunately, in my 26 years, I come from New York, I saw plenty of it. I mean, it was inspirational to me to see somebody who has had this happen to them that came within, maybe hours of dying. You heard that there was testimony from the doctors to talk about how close she came to death, to come back the way she has, to work as hard as she has, to get back on that bench. I think it's easy for us to all watch and see her in court now, but what she's had to go through to get to this point is pretty amazing. I'll let Dana talk. Thank you.
All right, you've been listening to a press conference outside the federal courthouse in downtown Austin, where the prosecution in the Chimene Onyeri case, we're talking about the verdict, where all 17 counts came back guilty. The jury deliberating this morning for about 4 hours. Yesterday, they deliberated for about 2. So this was a quick verdict. We have much more on this story, background information, in-depth information at KXAN.com. Also, our Brittany Glass has been in the courtroom since the beginning. She's going to have much more on this and more reaction from all of those folks involved tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock.